This is going to be a response video to Jungle Jargon, and I don't know if you've seen this guy's videos. I shouldn't find them amusing, but some of the stuff this guy says is just so off the rails that I can't help but laugh. But at the same time, videos like this make me feel horrible, because if you look at the education system in the U.S. today, this guy is both a product and a problem for the education system. He obviously was poorly educated to start with, and then on top of it, he's putting the same ignorant stuff back out into the world. But anyway, if you watch his videos, he likes to talk about basically he's a young earth creationist, and he's trying to make the argument that God made the universe look old, and so we can't really know when God created the universe, things were traveling fast. You know, it's hard to nail him down to anything because he uses a lot of made-up science, for one. So he tries to use all these little fancy tricks to try and make it so you can't argue against him. Like he'll tell you, you know, there's either the universe is made by a maker or objects make the universe. Those are your only two choices. That's his argument for the universe. So if you can't show that objects didn't make the universe, then obviously he's correct. He doesn't have to show a maker made the universe, because that proves it, because you can't prove that objects did it. This is the way this guy thinks. And I've had quite a few conversations with him. I really regret ever talking to him in the first place. I've been trying to end the conversations with him over and over again, and I think I'm probably going to end the conversations with him at this point, besides maybe video responses, because it's pointless to talk to the guy. But he clearly has a misunderstanding and a misrepresentation of how science works and what science is and what it says. But he does understand a little bit of stuff. I mean, he's obviously read a few things here and there, and he understands a little bit of it, but he doesn't understand enough to really be talking about what he's talking about. Basically, he doesn't like the fact that we know the age of the universe is around 13 billion years old to 14 billion years old. He doesn't like that because it conflicts with his Bible and what he believes the Bible says for the age of the universe. And you can tell that when he starts talking about historical time, expanded time, and all this other stuff. But when he starts saying that the universe, that the time expanded from no time, what he's trying to say is that during that expansion period, everything, of course, traveled faster than the speed of light, and therefore objects that may appear to be 13 billion light years from us, the light is actually, he goes through all these weird bastardizations of science to try and get where he's going. He talks about photons traveling faster speed of light and the trip being instantaneous. Neil deGrasse Tyson, when he said it, I pointed this out to him in the video of Neil deGrasse Tyson's, the exact point he said it, but Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's from the perspective of the photon that no time passes, or a limited, very small amount of time passes, and that's because the photon is traveling at the speed of light. That does not mean that it takes absolutely no time for the photon to travel across from one side of the universe to the other. Light still travels at the speed of light. And he gets into this a little bit. Relativity is based on a constant of light speed. Relativity doesn't say that you can't travel faster than the speed of light. There are actually theories about being able to travel faster than the speed of light, which are irrelevant to the conversation, because you have to assume that the speed of light is a constant in order for relativity to even function. So that's just a given. But the speed of light is not the only measurement we have for the age of the universe. There's other ways they measure it. So, you know, it's pretty much a given. But he wants to say that this happens in expanded time, and that's why we can't measure it. But then he turns around and says his historical time happens in expanded time, and that's how we know that it's correct. Well, if one's not correct, the other one's not correct. So your historical time has no way of being accurate if we can't accurately measure things in time space. It can't. You're saying one thing and turn around and saying the opposite later. You talk about quasars in your video, and you say that quasars aren't supposed to exist in the early universe. Well, everything I've read about quasars, they're supposed to exist in the early universe, and we have a lot less of them now. And that was a mystery when they first discovered quasars. And again, it's irrelevant to the conversation. We can estimate, science can estimate a lower limit to the age of the universe by observing the older objects, which would be global clusters. They can look at global clusters and they can figure out from a global cluster what the minimal number of time passage is, and that happens to be 10 billion years. So the universe can't be any younger than 10 billion years old, which is way, way away from your factor of what you think the age of the universe is. But basically, this guy has bastardized science to try and turn around and show that his ideas are right about this stuff. I don't know. It scares me. It really does. And the fact that you can't talk to this guy, he's not interested in talking to you. He really isn't. I mean, he just says the same things over and over again. He's like a parrot. And he's not really interested in if you give him something to look at or research, he's not going to do it. So, you know, which, you know, well, that's fine. He goes into a rant about evolution at the end of the video, and if you want to try and falsify evolution, try and falsify evolution. But, you know, you can claim it's wrong all day, but the fact is, there's lots and lots and lots of evidence that they have, and that's why evolution is considered a fact, and that's why it's taught in schools, and that's why it's, you know, and these other countries that you think are so stupid because they're believing this evolution stuff, we rank 17 in our education system of the whole world. That's about the level of a third world country. We have a very poor education system in this country now. And it's getting worse. And if we don't fix it, we are going to be a third world country before long. And this dumbing down of America, it affects the economy. If you want to know why the economy is the way it is, look at the education system. The education system is the infrastructure that we build everything off of. So if we don't have a good education system, we're not going to have a good economy. We're not going to have, you know, so, you know, this is a standard example right here of the dumbing down of the country. This guy is. I mean, just plain and simple. And if you're looking at this guy and you're thinking that he's making sense of some kind, you probably don't have an education, just like him. He's not. He's admitted he's not well educated. He seems to think that doesn't matter, that you don't need to actually learn how to be a mechanic to be a mechanic, and you don't need to learn how to operate on patients to be a doctor, or, you know, learn medicine to be a doctor. He thinks you don't need to do that stuff, that it's not important. So he keeps saying that I make an argument from authority every time I talk about the scientists, because he doesn't understand what an argument from authority is. I mean, it's just, and then when you explain it to him, he just, oh, no, my definition's right. I don't care what it says in the dictionary or in you know, Webster or anything like that. My definition's the one that's correct because I'm making it, you know. This is the way this guy is. So he's really pointless to talk to. He's fun to irritate, but at the same time, he's extremely irritating to talk to. So anyway, I'm sure he'll have something clever to say about this video if I ever get it posted. But I think I'm going to call that quits right there and call that the end.